We spent 50 years making movies about how scary sharks are. We treat the great white like the king of the ocean, but we were afraid of the wrong animal. Sharks are just mindless eating machines. They are the middle management of the sea. The real king is a calculated, cultured, sociopathic serial killer that hunts for sport. When a great white shark spots an orca, it doesn't fight. It flees. It abandons its hunting ground for years. Sharks don't rule the ocean. They run from the guys who do. Orcas are 6-ton geniuses who have learned how to surgically remove organs from living targets. They have gangs, they have turf wars, they have secret languages. Welcome to the neighborhood. Lock your doors. To understand why they are so dangerous, you have to look at the hardware. An orca brain is 4 times larger than yours. It is the second heaviest brain on Earth, but it's not just big, it's wired differently. They have an entire lobe of the brain that humans don't even have. It processes emotions and social connections. This means their social lives are more complex than yours. They don't just swim together. They have deep generational culture. They live in a matriarchy. The gangs are run by the grandmothers. Why? Because grandma knows everything. She stores decades of data on where the food is and how to survive. If the grandma dies, the mortality rate of the young males skyrockets. They literally cannot survive without her directions. And she teaches them. Orcas aren't born knowing how to kill. They go to school. A shark runs on instinct, an orca runs on education. But not all orcas are the same. In the Pacific Northwest, there are 2 distinct gangs that hate each other. First, you have the residents. These are the hippies. They only eat fish. They're chatty, family-oriented, and generally chill. Then you have the transients, also known as Big's killer whales. These are the serial killers. Transients don't eat fish. They only eat mammals. Seals, dolphins, porpoises, basically anything that screams. The residents talk constantly. The transients are silent. They hunt in stealth mode because their prey has ears. These 2 groups have not interbred for 700,000 years. They don't speak the same language. They actually have different dialects. It's like a French person trying to talk to a Klingon. So how do the transients hunt? They don't just bite. They use physics. Take the wave wash. If a seal is hiding on an ice floe, the orcas line up side by side like a firing squad. They charge the ice in perfect sync, creating a calculated tsunami that washes the seal into the water. But they don't eat it immediately. That would be boring. They play with their food. They're famous for punting seals 80 feet in the air with their tails. Scientists think this might be to tenderize the meat. I think they just like seeing how high things bounce. They will do this for hours. It's not just hunting, it's batting practice for the kids. Now let's talk about the victim, the great white shark, the supposed king. When orcas enter great white territory, the sharks flee immediately. They know they're outclassed. Why? Because orcas figured out a cheat code in the shark's biology. If you flip a shark upside down, it enters tonic immobility. It gets paralyzed. It goes into a trance. So the orcas ram the shark, flip it over, and hold it there until it stops moving. It's not a fight, it's a hack. And then, they do something Hannibal Lecter would be proud of. They perform surgery. They make a precise cut and suck out only the liver. They leave the rest of the body. Why the liver? It's basically shark foie gras. It's dense, fatty, and high energy. They're picky eaters. They kill the ultimate predator, take the best organ, and trash the rest. That is a flex. But sharks aren't the only ones getting bullied. Let's talk about stingrays. Stingrays have a poisonous barb. If you bite them, you get stabbed in the mouth. So in New Zealand, orcas developed a new martial art, the karate chop. They dive down and use their tails to create a vortex that pulls the ray out of the sand. Then, while the ray is confused, they rotate their body and slap it with their tail, flipping it over to paralyze it. It requires insane precision. And mothers teach this specific move to their calves. It is generational martial arts. But surely they can't take down a blue whale, the largest animal to ever exist? Yes, they can. It takes a platoon of 50 orcas working in shifts for 6 hours, but they do it. Their tactic is brutal. They jump on top of the whale's blowhole to drown it. They specifically target the calves. They separate the baby from the mother and keep pushing it underwater until it drowns. And again, they often just eat the tongue because apparently they're food critics. It is a grueling, coordinated 6-hour murder marathon. It's not nature, it's warfare. It gets weirder. You know what is a natural predator of the moose? The killer whale. I am not making this up. In Canada, moose swim between islands to find food. They dive underwater to eat seagrass. Imagine being a moose. You're a forest creature. You dive into the water, and suddenly you're being eaten by a whale. That is unparalleled bad luck. Orcas really looked at the land animals and said, "You're next." But they're not just killers. They're teenagers. They have fads. In 1987, one female orca started wearing a dead salmon as a hat. Within weeks, the whole pod was doing it. It was the orca equivalent of baggy jeans. It served no purpose. It was just fashion. And then, just like a trend, they stopped. The fad died out. Recently, they started a new trend in Europe, attacking rich people's yachts. They target the rudders of sailboats. They disable the boat and leave it drifting. Scientists aren't sure if it's revenge or a game. Personally, I think they just hate capitalism. They're bored teenagers breaking windows in an abandoned house, except the house is your $2 million yacht. But there is one thing that breaks an orca's brain: captivity. Imagine taking a creature that swims 100 miles a day and putting it in a bathtub for 30 years. In the wild, their fins stand tall. In captivity, 100% of male fins collapse. It is a physical sign of depression. Teal'c, the star of Blackfish, killed 3 people. People called him a monster. But Teal'c wasn't a monster. He was a prisoner who snapped. If you lock a human in a bathroom for 20 years, they will eventually attack the guard. Captivity turns a social genius into a psychopath. It is the only time they hurt us. So here's the million-dollar question. If they kill everything, why don't they eat us? There has never been a verified fatal attack on a human by a wild orca, ever. They will punt a seal, disembowel a shark, and drown a whale. But they let humans swim right next to them. Maybe they taste bad. Maybe we're too bony. Or maybe they're smart enough to know the rules. They know that humans are the only species crazier than they are. They see our ships, they see our wars, and they decided, let's not start a war with the monkeys on the boats. It feels like a treaty. We stay out of your cities, you stay out of our ocean. We're the apex predator of the land, they are the apex predator of the sea. Game recognized game. But their reign might be ending, not because of a stronger predator, but because of us. The resident orcas are starving because we are overfishing the salmon. Pollution is poisoning their milk. They're top of the food chain, so they absorb all the toxins from everything they eat. If the salmon die, the resident orcas die. The culture, the language, the grandmothers, it all disappears. It would be a tragedy to lose the only other species on Earth that understands fashion trends. So let's stop pretending the shark is the king of the ocean. The shark is just a mindless eating machine. The orca is a calculated, cultured, fashion-conscious serial killer. They are the mafia of the deep. They run these streets. They're smart, they're organized, and they're watching. And if you see a dorsal fin coming towards your boat, just hope they're not bored. Respect the dawn. From the Arctic to the Antarctic, they are the undisputed champions.
If you enjoyed this, subscribe for more. And leave a comment. It really supports the channel. Thanks for watching.